You don't build the man you want to be. You spend your life serving the man who did. Every second you waste is a shovel digging your own grave. Wake up, invest in your future, or die building someone else's. You know what the problem is? You've been lied to your entire life. Lied to by teachers, by society, by your weak friends, by the internet. Hell, even by your own mind. You've been conditioned to believe that existing is enough. That as long as you get by, you're doing okay. That being average is some kind of virtue. But let me tell you something, and you better tattoo this inside your skull. Average is the enemy. It's the invisible poison that creeps in through comfort. And the worst part, it feels good. That's what makes it dangerous. Average feels safe. It feels easy. It feels familiar. And that's exactly why it's the silent killer of potential. You wake up every day and you live like the clock doesn't matter, like you got unlimited time. You don't. You're burning daylight on nothing. You scroll TikTok like a lab rat hitting the dopamine button. You procrastinate like success is owed to you. You think watching someone else's grind on YouTube is the same as grinding yourself. It's not. It's voyeurism disguised as productivity. You're watching other men build empires while you struggle to build momentum. You know you're not where you should be. Every fiber of your being whispers at night, that quiet guilt. That's your potential choking. That's your inner warrior dying in silence. But here's the most savage truth. I'm not even mad at you for being broke. I'm not mad at you for being behind. I'm mad because you're not doing something about it. Because deep down, you know the moves you need to make. You know you should get up earlier, hit the gym harder, stack new skills, cut off dead weight, move like your future depends on it, because it does, but you don't. You postpone greatness for pleasure. You pick short-term dopamine over long-term power. You settle thinking you've got time to fix it later, and that later becomes your whole life. You die waiting. Do you understand how rare that level of self-respect is? Most people live their entire lives without ever meeting the strongest version of themselves. Imagine that. Dying without ever becoming who you could have been. You can't let that happen. You can't let comfort rob you like that. You've got to get violent about your future, not with your fists, but with your habits, with your discipline, with your intent. And no, it's not going to be easy. It's going to suck. You are going to suffer. But that's the whole point. The suffering is the filter. That's how life weeds out the weak. You want success? Then show the universe you're willing to crawl through hell for it. Because if you're not, you don't deserve it. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how kind you are. I don't care what you've been through. If you don't move, if you don't act, if you don't execute, then you don't matter. Harsh, maybe. True? Absolutely. But here's a glimmer of hope. The brutal truth is also your greatest weapon. Because once you face it, you're free. Once you look in the mirror and say, this is on me, you've taken back the power. No more blaming school. No more blaming your parents. No more blaming society. You're a man. Own your existence. Own your outcomes. Own your legacy. Every single day is a vote for who you're becoming. And if you keep choosing laziness, distraction, weakness, you're voting against your own future. You're killing your destiny one unproductive hour at a time. Stop negotiating with yourself. Stop asking permission. There's no referee in this fight. No one's coming to save you. You've got to become the savior. You've got to become the monster that refuses to die in mediocrity. You've got to become the man whose presence commands respect, not because he begs for it, but because he earned it in silence when no one was watching, when no one clashed. And here's the part that should ignite something inside you. It's not too late. That's the difference between the cowards and the champions. The cowards say it's over. The champions say, I'm just getting started. I don't care if you're 18 or 48. You've still got time to build the life you dream about, but that window is closing. And every excuse you make is another nail in the coffin of your unrealized potential. So decide now, right now. Burn the old version of you. Torch the laziness, kill the doubt, and rise like a man who refuses to die with his greatness still inside him. I knew this guy once, same age as me. Grew up in a neighborhood not too different from mine. Smart lad, charismatic, could have done anything. I remember he used to talk like he was destined for greatness. Always saying, one day I'm going to be rich. I've got ideas. I've got plans. He had energy, that spark in his eyes, that fire most men lose by the time they hit their 20s. And I believed him for a while, but talk is cheap. And over time, the fire turned to smoke. The spark got replaced with sarcasm. The optimism twisted into bitterness. I'd see him sometimes. Same cafe, same street, same conversations. 10 years went by, and the only thing he built was a collection of excuses. The same guy who said, I meant for more, now says, well, not everyone makes it. And that right there is the saddest transformation I've ever witnessed. A lion turning into a house cat. Not because he was incapable, not because the system broke him, not because the world conspired against him. No, because he betrayed himself. Because when it came time to bet on himself, he folded. He hesitated. He waited for certainty, for perfect conditions, for some cosmic green light that never came. And while he waited, the world moved on. Other men, less talented, less gifted, less lucky, they went all in. They weren't smarter, but they were hungrier. They didn't overthink. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't wait to feel ready. They just effing moved. And that's what separates the winners from the watchers. People think success is some divine accident. They think you need a mentor, $1 million idea, or a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make it. What you really need is violence of action. You need to be willing to jump off the cliff and build the wings on the way down. Because life doesn't reward the cautious. It punishes hesitation. And I've seen it with my own eyes, with everything going for them, paralyzed by fear, drowning in what ifs. They've got 10 tabs open in their mind and 0 action on the scoreboard. They want guarantees. But this game isn't played with guarantees. It's played with guts, obsession, and ruthless execution. I remember when I had nothing. Not just financially, nothing in terms of support, safety nets, or backup plans. I was sleeping in a room that smelled like mold, training in garages, eating scraps, fighting for coin. People saw me and laughed. Why are you trying so hard, they'd say, because I didn't want to be like them. I didn't want to rot in mediocrity. I'd rather die fighting than live accepting crumbs. Every punch I threw, every sacrifice I made, every sleepless night was me telling the universe I refused to lose. Not because I thought I was better, but because I knew I could be more. That mindset, that relentless inner fire is what separates the real ones from the rest. Not some fancy degree, not some perfect plan, just pure will. There was another kid I trained with once. He didn't have much, but he had heart. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that shows up early, stays late, doesn't complain. He failed often, lost fights, got injured, got mocked, but he kept coming back. And now he owns businesses, has freedom, lives life on his terms. The world didn't give him a damn thing. He took it. And I got more respect for that guy than I do for some crypto millionaire who got lucky on time, because that kid bled for it. He suffered. He earned every inch. And if he can do it, so can you. That's the point. This isn't just about money or success. It's about what kind of man you're becoming through the struggle. It's about deciding I will not be a spectator in my own life. Because life isn't a rehearsal. There's no warm-up round. This is it. This is your shot. If you spend your days hiding behind anxiety, waiting for the stars to align, hoping someone rescues you, you're finished. No man ever became a king by hoping. He became one by conquering. And conquest requires pain. It demands discomfort. You want a strong body? You train until it burns. You want a strong mind? You push it through chaos. There's no shortcut. You have to suffer for the life you want. And when you embrace that, when you stop avoiding it, everything changes. You don't need more motivation. You need to remember who the F you are. You were born with everything you need to win. You just forgot. You let society weaken you. You let failure define you. You let comfort numb you. But deep down, the warrior is still there, still watching, still waiting. And he's tired of excuses. He's tired of your softness. He's waiting for the day you snap, the day you say, no more. And when that day comes, when you truly decide you're done settling, you will become unstoppable. Because a man with purpose can't be broken. A man on fire doesn't fear the cold. So take this as your reminder, your warning, your wake-up call. I've seen both paths. I've seen the guy who waited and died with potential. I've seen the guy who acted and built a legacy from dust. You get to choose which one you become. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because your story is being written either way. The only question is, do you want to be the author or just another forgotten character? You think you got time? That's the biggest lie the modern world has sold you. This illusion that tomorrow is guaranteed, that you got years to figure it out, that the pain you're feeling now will somehow disappear if you just wait long enough. Let me tell you something brutal. The clock doesn't care. The universe doesn't care. Time is the only currency you can't earn back. And every second you spend hesitating, some other man is out there taking what could have been yours. You're not behind because you're unlucky. You're behind because you've been sleeping while your competition has been starving. And you know what's worse? Most of you aren't even afraid of failure. You're afraid of responsibility. You're scared to admit that you're the problem. Because if you're the problem, then you're also the solution. And that's terrifying because it means there's no one else to blame. No one to save you. No one to carry you out of the hole you dug yourself into. But that's the truth. You created this version of you, and only you can kill it. You want power, you want discipline, you want to feel like and stop running, look your excuses in the eye and dismantle them one by one, painfully, deliberately, like a surgeon cutting out cancer. I see it every day. Men drowning in comfort, scrolling through lives they wish they had, too weak to put the phone down and build their own. You're watching Winners Live. Breathe, eat on your screen while you're sitting there like a spectator consuming content like it's going to change your life. It won't. Action will. You're feeding your brain candy and wondering why your soul feels hollow. You don't need more information. You need to face the reality that your life is slipping through your fingers and no one's going to catch it for you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your girlfriend. This is war and you're unarmed. But here's the twist. You're not broken, you're not hopeless, you're just soft, and that can be fixed. But it takes pain, real pain, the kind that breaks you open and forces you to rebuild from scratch, the kind that doesn't feel good but feels right. Growth is ugly, it's violent, it's uncomfortable, but it's the only way you evolve. You wake up motivated, you wake up tired, and you move anyway. That's what separates men who lead from men who follow. Discipline isn't a mood, it's a weapon. And right now, you've been disarmed by years of dopamine addiction, validation seeking, and avoidance. You've been taught to run from discomfort, when in reality, discomfort is your only shot at freedom. You're terrified of being judged. But you're already being judged for doing nothing, for being average, for settling. So, if you're going to be judged either way, you might as well be judged for trying to conquer something. You're afraid of failing publicly. But failing quietly in the shadows of mediocrity is far worse. No one's coming to write your eulogy for being safe. No one remembers the man who stayed comfortable. You think your friends care? They don't. You think the world cares about your excuses? It doesn't. You will be forgotten if you continue this path. That's not a threat, that's a fact. And let's talk about regret. That's the deepest poison you'll ever taste. Not pain, not failure, not embarrassment, regret. The moment you realize you had every tool, every resource, every opportunity, and you did nothing with it. When you're 50 staring into a mirror and you can't even respect the man looking back. That's when the pain becomes permanent. That's when you can't rewind. You don't want that. I've seen it. I've heard men cry, not because life was unfair, but because they knew they wasted it. And by then it's too damn late. The time to act isn't when it's convenient. It's when it's crucial. And for you, that time is now. But listen carefully. This isn't just a message of destruction. There's hope here. Because if you're breathing, you still got a chance. You can burn the weak version of yourself today and walk out of the ashes like a weapon. You can rewrite the story. You can take every failure, every insult, every heartbreak, and forge it into armor. Don't need to be perfect. You just need to be relentless. The men who win aren't special. They're just consistent. They don't negotiate with weakness. They destroy it. Right now, in this moment, you are one decision away from a new life. One brutal, honest, violent choice to reject who you've been and pursue who you were meant to become. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be quick, but it will be worth it. Because on the other side of that pain is a version of you that's feared, respected, unstoppable. And the only thing standing in the way is the coward you refuse to kill. So what's it going to be? Are you going to keep pretending you're fine, keep numbing yourself with distractions, hoping your dreams chase you? Or are you going to wake the up, look in the mirror, and declare war on the life you hate? The choice is yours. But just know time isn't waiting, and neither am I. You want to change your life. Stop looking for a spark and become the fire. Waiting to feel ready is the death of potential. Motivation isn't something you wait for, it's something you create in the furnace of your decisions. Every man wants to be great until he sees what greatness demands. It demands sacrifice. It demands obsession. It demands you show up when no one's clapping, when no one believes, when your body screams to stop and your mind tells you you've done enough. That's where the real ones are born. In the darkness, in the silence, in the war zone within your own head. Most men fold there, but you were built to endure it. You just forgot. Discomfort isn't a sign to quit. It's a sign you're climbing. Pain is the toll you pay to escape mediocrity. You think the kings of this world didn't suffer? You think they didn't have days where everything felt like it was crumbling? They had them, but they moved anyway. And that's the difference. Winners don't need permission. They don't wait for good weather to set sail. They dominate the storm. You want to feel like a man again? Start keeping the promises you make to yourself. That's where it starts. When you say you'll wake up at 5:00 a.m., get up. When you say you'll train, train. When you say you'll work, work. Not when you feel like it, especially when you don't. You think you're tired because life is hard. No, you're tired because you're unalive. You're dragging a weak identity through a world that demands strength. You were born to conquer, but you're living like you're supposed to cope. That's why nothing feels right. You've been told to chill, relax, slow down. And look where that got you. Unmotivated, undisciplined, unfulfilled. You don't need more rest. You need more purpose. Purpose that shakes you awake at 4 in the morning and drags you out of bed like it's life or death. And the saddest part, you feel it. Your instincts are still there. They're just buried under a pile of distractions and excuses. But deep down, you know you're meant for more. You know you weren't built to sit in traffic, scroll endlessly, and complain about the system like a victim. You were made to dominate your space, to stand out, to intimidate weakness, to become a lighthouse in a storm. But that version of you doesn't come from comfort. It comes from war, from battle, from refusing to let the old you survive one more day. You can't carry dead weight and expect to fly. Cut it loose. Kill the weakness. Let it die, screaming if it has to. But let it die. And let me tell you something important. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are not doomed to live this way. All of that is noise, lies, fabricated narratives from people who quit on themselves and want you to join them in their graveyard of wasted potential. You don't belong there. You belong among the rare few who rise when they have every reason to stay down. You belong in the arena, bloodied and unbent, facing the chaos with fire in your eyes. And I promise you this, when you go all in on yourself, the world bends, doors open, people notice. Life transforms, not because it's fair, but because you stopped asking for fair and started demanding results. There's no balance in the beginning. It's all sacrifice. It's all tunnel vision. You build the life first, then you earn the balance. Right now, it's about putting your head down and outworking everyone who's content. It's about becoming so undeniably focused that doubt has no room to grow. You don't need 100 options, you need one goal, one mission, one obsession. And you attack it like your soul depends on it, because it does. You don't need more hacks. You need hunger, real hunger, the kind that doesn't sleep, the kind that doesn't care how long it takes, the kind that wakes up angry that you're not there yet. And yeah, it gets hard, of course it does. But so what? You're not here to live easy, you're here to earn respect from the world and from yourself. You're here to become undeniable, to walk into a room and change the atmosphere with your presence alone. That doesn't come from luck. That comes from grinding when no one watches, from choosing growth over pleasure, from bleeding for a life you haven't even tasted yet. Most men won't make it, not because they can't, but because they won't. They don't want it bad enough. They want to look like winners, not live like them. They want the prize without the scars. That's not you. You're not here to coast. You're here to rise. You're here to take the pain, the pressure, the chaos, and turn it into fuel. You're here to build something immortal. And every single day you waste in hesitation is another nail in the coffin of the man you could become. Don't bury him. Resurrect him today, now, this second, because the only thing between where you are and where you want to be is the work you're too afraid to start. You want the reward? Then become the monster willing to chase it without blinking. Become the machine that doesn't stop. Become the legend no one saw coming, but everyone remembers. Let me explain something to you that no one else will. You're not going to get another chance. This is it. This moment, this exact second is all you've got. The man you could become is watching you from the future. Fists clenched, veins pulsing, screaming at you to move, to act, to stand the hell up and finally take control. And if you keep ignoring it, if you keep waiting, delaying, talking instead of doing, he dies, he disappears, gone. And you're left with a version of you that couldn't commit, couldn't decide, couldn't sacrifice. That's the greatest pain on earth. Not failure, not struggle, wasted potential. It haunts you in silence. And by the time you realize it's killed your spirit, it's already too late. You want to be respected? Then stop talking about change and become change. Stop announcing your goals and start burying them in your grind. Don't ask for advice from people who've built nothing. Don't cry for motivation like a weakling. You don't need more words. You need to make a decision, a real decision, a decision that says, I'm never going back. A decision that rips your old life out by the roots and replaces it with fire. You think greatness comes from talent? No. It comes from madness, from the kind of intensity that terrifies average men. You need to develop a relationship with discomfort. You need to fall in love with pressure. You need to walk into the arena like a beast who's already won, because quitting was never an option. There's a storm coming for weak men. This world doesn't care about your excuses. It rewards killers, builders, strategists, doers. And you can cry about how unfair that is, or you can become one of them right now. You don't need to wait until Monday. You don't need to wait for inspiration. You need to shut everything off, look in the mirror and say, I'm not leaving this room the same man I walked in it. Once you claim your life like a weapon, nothing and no one can stop you. The game becomes rigged in your favor, not by luck, but by obsession. You understand what it means to go all in. It means burning the safety net. It means closing the back door. It means telling the world, watch me, or get out of my way. Most men are half-hearted, half-committed, half-alive. That's why they fail. You were never supposed to live in limbo. You were meant to dominate, to dictate your destiny, to rise so violently that even the universe steps aside. But that requires one thing: execution. Relentless, ruthless, daily execution. Not flashy, not loud, just savage discipline behind closed doors. You want power? Then earn it through sweat, blood, and silent sacrifices no one will ever applaud you for. Because real power doesn't come from what you post. It comes from a war you win inside your own mind every single day. This is your wake-up call. This is your line in the sand. You either rise or you rot. You either evolve or you evaporate. There is no middle ground. The comfort zone is a graveyard dressed up like a living room. Get out of it. Smash it. Light it on fire. Because if you don't move now, life will move on without you. Time doesn't care how much potential you had. It only rewards those who had the balls to act. You're not too late, you're not too far gone, but you are running out of time. And that clock doesn't pause for hesitation, overthinking, or fear. The only language time understands is action. So here's what you do after this. You stand up, you go outside, you go to the gym, you start that business, you cut out the distractions, you shut down the whining, you make the call, you learn the skill, you write the plan, you take the damn step. No more theory, no more research, no more mental masturbation. You move, you strike, you build. Because every second you delay, your future gets colder, smaller, darker. And when you die, because you will, you'll meet the man you could have been. And if you did nothing, that meeting will crush your soul more than any failure ever could. But if you do it, if you finally go all in, everything changes. You wake up with purpose. You move with power. People start to notice. Opportunities start to open. Your body transforms. Your money grows. Your confidence becomes lethal. Your energy becomes contagious. You walk like a lion. You speak like a king. Not because someone gave you permission, but because you earned every ounce of it in silence. You become unstoppable, not just rich or successful, but untouchable. The kind of man who bends reality to his will because he's done playing small. So this is it. Your final warning, your final push. You either become the man you were destined to be, or you die chasing the illusion of comfort. Decide, commit, attack.